Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome along to the Wycombe Wanderers Show, the first after the first defeat of 2022.
Oh.
But there's positives to come from it.
And the final one before I Follow bites the dust.
It's like a film trailer, isn't it?
It really is, yes. I Follow bites the dust.
I Follow too.
On the 29th of January.
Bites the dust is like the sort of the tagline afterwards.
Yeah.
I Follow bites the dust, and then there's I Follow.
Gareth's band's recorded a version of like another one bites the dust, especially for it. No, not really.
No, that was surreal, but I quite liked it though.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yes, welcome along to the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Coming up tonight with Colin and myself, Bob. We will be hearing from Gareth Ainsworth a couple of times.
Oh yes.
We'll be hearing from him after the 3-2 defeat at the wonderfully named Mazuma Stadium.
That is wonderfully named.
It is good, isn't it?
And also we'll be hearing from him.
The Globe Arena in Old Money, although I think that was even a sponsored name. I think it's one of those grounds that never has not been sponsored.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll be hearing from him from Marlow Road, which has yet also not been sponsored.
Yes, that's true.
It'll just be a matter of time, though.
I was going to say, yeah, absolutely. I wonder who we could, the Dormayo training ground or something like that. There you go, there's an idea for you. Where Wycombe Sound could get a bit of money if that does ever come true. Yes, we will be hearing from Gareth twice. Got some very interesting things to say in that interview as well. Very grateful about all of the fans who made the long trip up to Morecambe.
A really nice personal message to the fans, if that's you that went there.
Yes.
It's a long way, isn't it? You've been there,
yeah, I mean, it is. It's a long, long way. It's, it feels a bit like a suburb.
It's like Tipperary, but not...
Slightly. It's like a suburb of Carlisle. It's that sort of far north. It's not one to sort of just take lightly. Make sure you got your sandwiches with you. That's what I'd say.
I think I'm going to recommend another fish and chip shop there for a second.
I should have done it, actually.
Also coming up on the show, as Bob mentioned, the end of I Follow for Wycombe Wanderers and the beginning of WanderersTV. We'll be hearing from Matt Cecil and Phil as well to preview that ahead of its launch on the 1st of Feb.
Yeah, really looking
quite soon, isn't it?
It is. It's coming around very quickly, isn't it? Where has January gone? Not that any of us are particularly sad to see the back of January, though actually Wycombe's form has been quite good, whereas of course normally after the Christmas period takes us a little while to get going, but it hasn't been the case this season. Obviously got the MK Dons though on Saturday, which is a big game considering that they are now just one place below us in the table. And
we'll take you back to the 50s and 60s.
Oh, of course.
And hear the thoughts of winger / forward Mick Rockell, who will be sharing his thoughts with us, who of course was part of the squad in the 57 Amateur Cup final against Bishop Auckland at Wembley.
And was a player who did score quite a lot of goals. Like Jack Grimmer.
Absolutely, yes. You get to go on this show and then score.
Exactly.
It's like a kiss of, whatever the opposite of kiss of death is.
Ever since we started talking about Jack Grimmer over the past few weeks, and all of a sudden he's found his shooting and scoring boots.
Absolutely, great goals.
And that's the thing as well. They're great goals. He's really is.
If he's a stand-up comedian, he'd only tell a few jokes, but they'd both be really brilliant jokes.
Yeah, they would be worth hanging about for.
Absolutely. A couple of good goals, of course, up at Morecambe.
Yeah, Adebayo Akinfenwa scoring after 90 seconds. Really impressed as well that actually, so he's 39 years old. And he's one of those players now you sort of think, he's just going to be a bit part. He'll come on as a substitute or he'll go off after sort of like, an hour or so. No, played the whole game against Morecambe. And got a goal as well.
Absolutely. Tick that one off the list.
Indeed. Very, very impressive.
Very creditable display.
Yeah. Obviously, didn't quite go to plan in the end. A few issues. I very much feel that Morecambe are a bit like Wycombe were a few seasons ago, when we were scrapping to stay in League One, never mind the Championship. Obviously, they had a slightly dodgy pitch as well on Saturday, which Gareth does refer to.
Here he is speaking to Phil after the game.
Gareth, it's never done against Wycombe and Morecambe, is it? And it was another game full of goals, but Wycombe coming out on the wrong end of this one.
Yeah, a couple of performances unrecognisable in that second half. I wanted us to go forward a bit more in the first half. I know we had to be a bit more direct today because the pitch is terrible. You can't play on that, you really can't. And I think it showed with their second goal. It's we've tried to pass a little bit at the back there, and the pitch has just bobbled it up, and they're in, and it was disappointing to see. I think their first goal was a free kick that was was a miss hit, and they got a corner, and then they score from the corner. There wasn't a lot of quality today, but I do blame the pitch. It's really spongy out there. It's not great, and I'm gutted for the boys because they've given everything. They really have. But Morecambe are scrapping for their lives, and I think it's refreshing to say that this division is so tight. Anyone can beat anyone, and sometimes a defeat is not such a bad thing. We can work on what we need to work on. Realise that these teams at the bottom are going to be scrapping and battering people, and that's what they did. You've got to give credit to their forwards. Any high balls and long balls up to them, they were giving my defenders a heck of a time, and likewise at the other end. We've scored 2 great goals, and unfortunately it wasn't enough today, but I'm not going to be disappointed after defeat away to Morecambe. We've been here before, believe me, and been on the end of these defeats, but it's disappointing because of where we are in the league. I got some picking up to do, and I'll do it. I love doing it. They're a great bunch, proud of every one of them. They gave me everything, just fell short today, and that's the story.
Disappointing as well, because having taken the lead twice away from home.
Yeah, definitely. Especially first minute, you can score too early sometimes, and rest on your laurels, but we didn't really. It was a scrappy game. It was, and when it's a scrap, and we've done this to teams, we've made games scraps and won them. They made it a scrap today, and they've scored 3, we've scored 2. It's about the story of the game. There wasn't a lot in it. Fair play to Morecambe, well done. We'll be back next week. MK Dons at home, looking forward to it.
I was watching it at times thinking this is the sort of game that Josh Scowen would love. Unfortunately not in the squad today.
No, I took a whack last week against Oxford, some misses today. Sam Volk's not fully recovered as well, which is obviously big for us, but Akinfenwa has done really well. He scored a fantastic goal and led the line well. I thought just wanted to just come up a little bit short, and you're going to get that at times, away from Morecambe. The only thing I'm gutted for is the fans who've made all that journey. It's a long way to come. Please stay with your team. They've really tried today. Just weren't good enough in some areas, but we've been plenty good enough this season, and I'm really proud of where we are. Yeah, disappointed today because you look at the game and you think, right, Wycombe away at Morecambe. I'm sure there's a few coupons been busted today, but don't write these boys off. I'm a Northwest boy, and this is a Northwest team. I hope they stay up, I really do, but not at the expenses of us, and that's happened today, so a bit gutted, but no, back down the road, picking up. The fans are going to be in numbers next week, I know that. I know this is a big one against MK, and I intend to put the wrong right early in the season. We got a red card for Anthony Stewart. We had to play the rest of the game for 10 men. They beat us 1-0. I think they've lost the key player in O'Reilly, and they'll have to replace him. Hopefully we'll be getting a couple of key players back, but whatever squad I put out, whatever team I put out, I believe they're good enough to win games in League One.
Another example of how a team lower down in League One can easily beat, well, not easily, but can certainly beat a team much higher up in the table.
And that's what I mean when I say that actually Morecambe slightly do remind me of us a few seasons ago, that actually, they can get those results when you're not really expecting it. Gareth, he likes his Northwest teams as well, doesn't he? He always makes a little comment. You can tell he's comfortable when he's in the Northwest. He's quite pleased to be up there.
Yes, the rain battering against him.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if he was planning sort of like a trip, with the coach driving. Can we go back past the local fish and chip shop?
Some of the sights of the Northwest.
Can we go through Blackburn? I'll just go and say hello to my folks on the way home.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because we were talking there about how other teams obviously not dropping points at the same time as Wycombe losing, which clearly hasn't helped.
Slightly, yes, which is slightly frustrating, particularly after recently when it went the other way round. And the way that the table looks now, you do feel that actually Saturday's game against MK Dons is hugely important, given that we're fourth, we've played 28, we've got 52 points. MK Dons currently fifth, also played 28, got 49 points, and below them then Oxford United, having played a game less, to 27, and they've got 46. And you think, well, if we beat the MK Dons, we'll then be 6 points clear, a 6-point gap basically between fourth and fifth. And you do feel, well, that probably will continue for a little while, and so we'll then be in that group of 4 who are going for automatic promotion. If we lose on Saturday, then clearly MK Dons will then be catching us up, and they currently have a better goal difference than us as well, so they would go ahead of us. Oxford have then got that game in hand, and you just think, if we lose it, it looks sort of subtly like we're then scrapping for the 4th, 5th or 6th playoff places, which clearly is not nearly as attractive as thinking, well, yeah, we want to be in that top 4 rather than sort of like, 5th, 6th, and then Plymouth in 7th at the minute, just outside the playoffs, so they're 8 points behind us, but again, albeit with a game in hand. But fingers crossed that we can beat MK Dons. It's sort of crystallising into a very, very important game, and the fact that it's against the lot up. It's one of those things, and I was talking to Chris about this earlier on today, that whereas Oxford United don't think of us as a derby, I don't necessarily think that all Wycombe fans think of MK Dons as a derby, because anyway, MK Dons shouldn't really exist. They should be Wimbledon, and if they were still Wimbledon, we wouldn't be considering a team from South London as a local derby. So to me, it's not really a derby.
Very good point. And also, it's quite tricky to assess, as you sort of touched on there, because not everyone's played the same number of games.
Yes, that is very true. And obviously Wigan have now hit the front with their 8 games, 4 games in hand.
It does feel like that.
It does, yes, yeah. 4 games in hand over Sunderland, ourselves and MK Dons. Obviously Rotherham have got 2 games in hand, and as I said, Oxford and Plymouth currently have 1.
Still to come, we'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth once again, chatting to Bob, looking ahead to the Battle of Bucks. Is Milton Keynes strictly in Bucks even? I think it's
no, they sort of like seceded or whatever.
That's right,
whatever that is. Yeah, so they don't even consider themselves part of Bucks anymore.
But the game on Saturday mentions what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, what is the word you're looking for?
I'm not sure. Marks, that's it. Marks the end of iFollow, which the club goes it alone from the EFL sort of template, I suppose you call it, with their in-house.
Bravely goes it alone. You make them sound like some sort of like knight going off to battle.
Absolutely, that sort of thing. Although that sounds less technologically impressive, doesn't it?
I suppose it does. Yes. Off in this new technical world, it's more like the Matrix than
that'd be better.
Yes,
than a knight,
than Monty Python.
And a chain of armour on a horse.
Indeed.
Taking the internet with it. But Phil, who is the new head of audio and broadcast at Wycombe Wanderers now...
He'd look very good on a horse in a suit of armour.
Has been speaking to Matt Cecil, head of media and marketing at the club, to find out more about Wanderers TV. We must warn you as well, I don't think any horses are mentioned in this chat at all.
It's probably the biggest step we've taken in the 8 years that I've been here presently. And, it's funny, we talk about ringing the blues, and there's been a lot of talk about matchday programmes as well. And you just realise how much the whole media landscape has changed since I was growing up as a kid in the 90s to where we are now. Wanderers TV will coincide with the launch of a new website on the 1st of February or there and thereabouts. And it's really Wycombe Wanderers' own and owned by the club TV platform for live streaming of matches, the audio commentary of games, and a lot more of enhanced video content that, our team, with yourself included, Phil, are going to be putting together on a regular basis to connect Wanderers fans across the world, to tell more stories about the club and really branch out to our own platform, leaving EFL Digital in line with the club's ambitions on and off the pitch to be championship standard. We're going to be so much more advanced on that front than we ever have been. Really exciting time and a busy time as well, but a productive one. And we're excited to see people's reactions when this all gets up and running.
Now, we'd never like to do things the easy way at Wycombe Wanderers, and this change is coming during the season, which presents its own challenges as well. And there's been lots of questions coming in. The one that really kind of is a regular question is, if I'm an iFollow monthly or annual subscriber, what happens to the subscription, and how do people find out about what's going to be going on?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think iFollow has been a really good product down the years and vastly improved in recent times. I know fans had to rely on it last year when the games were behind closed doors and people got to grips with it. For many people, last season was their first experience of using the iFollow platform, and after a few little glitches at the start, I think the EFL Digital had a good product and one that really brought football into the homes of people that weren't able to get to games. And obviously, the broadcasting restrictions from UEFA are still in place. But really, iFollow has been good. Wanderers TV is going to be better. And so, yes, we're moving mid-season, so a lot of our fans paid up front at the start of the season for an annual subscription. They will just be issued with a voucher code. So when the new website and Wanderers TV launches, they'll be able to create a new account, put in the voucher code to essentially buy it for free for the remainder of the season. So those codes will be sent via email to the email address that they use for their iFollow account presently. And that should be quite straightforward, and we'll have all the user guides for that. Anyone that's paying monthly at the moment for their iFollow access, that subscription will just get stopped. And actually, if you've paid up front kind of for the month and you haven't had that month's access, you'll get a pro rata refund for what you've missed out on. And that will just be automatic and dealt with by iFollow as we close those accounts down. So we will be asking you to sign up for a new monthly pass on Wanderers TV. So, the first game that we're looking at in February is that Shrewsbury Town game on the 8th of February. That will be eligible for live streaming in the UK. But if you were used to paying monthly for your audio access, don't expect to be able to log in on that night and listen if you haven't signed up for a new subscription. So your iFollow one will be stopped. You'll launch a new Wanderers TV account. It's the same price as iFollow. All the subscriptions are the same in terms of the price and what you get for them. The only difference is going to be we're going to give you better content for your money. We're looking forward to many Wycombe fans buying their subscription and joining us on it.
So just to reiterate then, Wanderers TV will cost the same as iFollow?
Yeah, these are put in place across the EFL. You're still acquiring an EFL product, really, which is the rights to see the game. And that's why it has to be consistent across all clubs. If we started charging £5 to watch a game, all the Shrewsbury fans would come and watch it on Wanderers TV and deny their club their revenue. So that's why the match passes are fixed at £10 for a video pass. The audio match passes are £2.50. The monthly subscriptions are £4.49. On the audio front, and the overseas fans as well got it for $170 for the year for the video passes as well. So all the prices are consistent. We're all about offering value, and what we're going to offer is a lot better value for money than we've ever done on iFollow.
And will fans be able to watch every game, or will it be the same rules as it applies to iFollow on a Saturday 3:00 kickoff? It will just be the audio?
That's where we're at. Yeah, Wycombe Wanderers are very pro-streaming. It's a big debate all across EFL clubs. And funnily enough, Rob Cooig and I sat down with EFL Digital 2 weeks before the pandemic and explained our viewpoint. We want games to be seen far and wide by as many people as possible, whether it's in the UK, outside the UK. We don't feel that live streaming will stop people going to games. We think that we offer such a good experience at Adams Park. If you can get here, you will. If you can't get here, you'll watch it on iFollow or Wanderers TV. We don't think that one obstructs the other. A lot of clubs fear that the opposite is true, and that if all games were eligible for streaming, people would sit at home and watch it and not get down to the games. So we had that discussion with the EFL pre-pandemic, and I think a lot of opinions were changed over the past year when we've seen the volume of people that were watching on TV from behind closed doors, the amount of revenue that was generated. But when clubs were asked for their opinions back in the summer, we were in the minority, and therefore the broadcast restrictions are still as they were. So all the Saturday 3:00 games still are locked behind the UEFA article that prevents us from streaming it. So unless you're overseas, then those Saturday 3:00 games will be audio only. But thankfully, Phil, it'll be your audio, which I know is a great comfort and substitute for those that aren't able to be at the games. But yeah, every opportunity we have to stream, we will stream. So that's your Tuesday night games, your bank holiday games. A Good Friday, for example, against Plymouth will be eligible. And any game that was a Saturday and gets displaced to a Tuesday night game, that is at the discretion of the home club, and we will always be pro-streaming those games. So throughout the season, you'll get to see a good amount of football on Wanderers TV, as well as the extended highlights and the highlights packages that we'll put up, and the matchday rewinds as well.
Fantastic. Sounds exciting times. Back to the website. It's going to provide the club and the fan base with a single sign-on experience. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's going to be built on over the coming months. So when you sign onto the website, you'll discover something called My Quarter, and basically that's going to be your login. That over time you'll be able to use the same login across our ticketing platform, the retail platform, the streaming platform. Potentially as well, we're looking into using it to access the Wi-Fi at Adams Park as well. At the moment, if you're a Wycombe fan, you'll have potentially a different email address and password for each of those things. We want to generate a more seamless user experience. I don't want to sound too technical, but basically one fan account at Wycombe Wanderers. It just helps us know more about you, the fans. It helps you migrate seamlessly between ticketing and retail, etc. And it'll all be knitted together in an app as well. So there is a club app coming. At the moment, the only app that you'd be aware of is the EFL iFollow one, which is a generic EFL app that gives you access to the Wycombe Wanderers video content. There will be a Wycombe Wanderers app launching with the best intentions 31st of March. And that will have all the website feeds and the league tables, fixtures, news, etc., player profiles, but also the streaming potential and the ticketing and retail links in there as well. So that's all coming. I think what we're looking at for the 1st of February is the first phase of a rollout of a lot of developments over the coming months. So everything might not be 100%, ready for the 1st of February, but certainly we're using the rest of the season as a time period to roll out more and more innovations, so that, by the start of next season in the Championship, we're ready to go all singing, all dancing on every front.
Exciting talk, Matt. I like this. I think that's a really good point you just made. Between now and the end of the season is a great opportunity for us to learn more about what's going to be happening and getting it out there, but also a perfect opportunity for you guys, the fans, I suppose, to get in contact with us at the club and say, we like this, what does this mean? Or can we have more of this? Or how does this work, etc.? And I guess that kind of process starts now. Any questions, ping them in.
Absolutely. It has to be two-way. We want to know what content is going to work, what's going to drive subscriptions. There will be content going behind a paywall and you need to be a subscriber to see it. But, we're quite proud of the following that we've accrued over social media over the last few years and the view counts that gets and the reach. And we certainly don't want to lose out on that by putting everything that's restricted. So it'll be a bit of a balancing act. And we want to know from supporters, what sort of content you want to see, which personalities you want to see more or less of, I guess, across our platforms, and what is going to work for you. And certainly, we love to hear fan stories. We've had some amazing stories on the podcast and people that we've spoken to as well. Who've got amazing stories about their association with the club. And I think, over the last month, in particular, you see, a lot of fans have come to the fore and been in the news, and often for tragic circumstances. But it's when you get to hear the people around Wycombe Wanderers make it the club that it is. And so it won't just be football. We have an amazing football team, an amazing manager and staff at the moment, and we're going to showcase them as best we can. And we are going to get better access to them as well once the COVID restrictions die down. But it's the people around the club really that are the heartbeat. And we want people telling us what they want to see. We want people wanting to be involved in Wanderers TV, to be the star, to have their 15 minutes of fame. And yourself and me and the team are always available for feedback and constructive ideas, and we'd love to hear it all.
Matt and Phil speaking on the club's official Ringing the Blues podcast.
I do hope that Wanderers TV is going to have that funky music that was at the beginning of the interview.
Thanks very much. Yeah, me too. I really liked it. We'll try and feature it more in this program. It was
great. Yeah, I liked it. I was dancing around.
Thanks very much. No, you're very complimentary when things go well. It's only fair that you point out when there's some sort of horse up as well.
It's fine. Nobody knew that it was you either. You could have easily got away with that. You could have blamed it on me or the computer or whatever.
Yeah, it's a technical error.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Hopefully that won't be in the podcast.
No.
Still to come on this week.
We'll edit this bit out for the podcast. This is why you have to listen to it on FM. This is, because you
get the best bit.
Exactly. You get to know exactly what happens.
Yeah, whatever the opposite of behind the scenes is. In front of the scenes.
In front of the scenes.
Still to come, we'll hear from hopefully, unless I've edited it incorrectly, we'll hear from former winger and other forward positions, Mick Rockell as well, plus your excellent chat with Gareth from earlier on today.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
I'm looking forward to your Mick Rockell chat as well.
On the Wycombe Wanderers Show here at Wycombe Sound. I hope you're enjoying it as much as we are.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we will be talking about Wycombe Wanderers women and finding out how they got on at the weekend. We'll talk about the current international Wanderers, and we'll be hearing from Gareth Ainsworth ahead of Saturday's game against MK Dons.
That was really well done, that bit.
Oh, thank you very much.
That's just how I imagined it.
You're full of compliments tonight. And I was pleased because I called them MK Dons and not the MK Dons.
Oh, very good, yeah.
Yes. I don't know why it annoys me when it's the MK Dons. It's like, why do they have to have the in front of them?
It's like Ukraine.
Yeah.
Topical.
Indeed,
Some people say the Ukraine, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. They're not the Beatles, they're MK Dons.
Yes.
They're not the Beatles, definitely. Although I think Pete Winkleman would quite like to be one of the Beatles.
Absolutely. It's like Wycombe Swan as well. Oh, that's another debate entirely.
Oh,
anyway,
yes, so that's a good one.
Some people say the Wycombe Swan.
Yeah.
Or the Swan. I mean, it's the Swan. Anyway.
The Beaconsfield Services.
If you've just tuned in, you might wonder what on earth's going on. This is the Wycombe Wanderers Show, and almost without fail, every week we get to speak to a member of the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association, either a player or perhaps a former manager, or even, we've spoken to former journalists, we've spoken to backroom people from the club. This week we caught up with Mick Rockell, who played over 100 times for the club in a number of positions, as you'll hear, and here's how he started.
I went to Hatters Lane School, and Mr. Sidcan, I call him Mr. Sidcan, came coaching us, and he asked me to go to Wycombe after I finished school, so eventually I did get there, trained hard, got into the reserve team at 17, and stayed there till about 1962, 55, 54 to 1962.
And had you always been a winger?
I did originally play at wing, but luckily I could play a few other positions, on the pitch. I was a bit lucky there.
Because I guess you were at the club at the time when there were one in particular winger who I guess was quite tricky to sort of move from his position.
He was a really great player, yeah, he was. Yeah. We had some class players at Wycombe, it was a really classy team and well worth being there actually and playing with them. They really helped you, brought me along, a lot of the older type players. They were really great. A lot of the players, Jackie Tomlin, Cliff Trott and Jimmy Truitt, for example, and Jimmy Morin, they were really good.
And they're literally legendary names of the club as well. It must have been fantastic to have been there at that time.
Yes, that's right. They were really just a bit older than me, so they helped me a lot. And I looked up to them, But it's a great club, to play for. Very professionally run at the time. But Sid Cam was a first-class coach, I thought, anyway.
Because he sort of moved your position, didn't he? You were initially on the left wing.
Right wing I was, really, but I did go to the left, and then I played in every position on the forward line, actually. Also, for a while, in different times. But I enjoyed it. As long as I got a game, it didn't matter where I played. I would have been better these days, I think, because they sort of seem to play anywhere, don't they?
No, absolutely.
They go all over the pitch, don't they, but a bit different in our day. It was entirely different football, Wingers would more or less keep out on the right and just get the crosses in if you can.
No, absolutely, because even defenders could push forward a lot more now, don't they?
Oh, good Lord, they never attacked years ago, they were told not to, but it's changed so much. But I don't know whether it's any better now or not, but it's changed, everything's changed.
Certainly the pace of the game is very different, isn't it?
A lot faster. But we were lucky. We trained hard, and we won a lot of games because we were fit. A lot fitter than the other teams. But we had a good team. There's no doubt about it at Wycombe then.
And we mentioned Len. He must have been someone that you really looked up to at the time.
Yes, he's the same age. It was the same age, But I knew Len before I came and watched him play, and he's a really good player. There's no doubt about that. Paul Bates was another one great to play with. Centre forward. Very good player.
And what was it like playing under Sid?
Yes, he was good. I found him good. He helped me a lot. A good coach. Not everybody's cup of tea, but I got on well with him, I was one of his favourites, I reckon.
It's great as well, because fans obviously like, attacking players and exciting players as well.
Yeah, the fans were very good too. The fans were terrific. I mean, we often had more fans in the away games than the actual home fans, when we used to go away. It was really good.
Are there any particular games that really stand out?
Well, one for me was against Wisbech in the FA Cup. They had 2 or 3 old internationals play, full-time internationals. Jesse Pye and Billy Elliott. The goalkeeper, I can't think of his name now, but he was good. We beat them in the end. It was a tough game. They went 2 up. And we managed to get back in the game and beat them 4-2. But the crowd, I never seen the crowd too excited, It was really, really great.
And of course, you're part of an elite group of players who've played over 100 times for the club.
Yeah, I know, yeah. John told me, I was quite surprised actually, yeah. Yeah, it was good. And
your goal scoring record, you must be quite proud of that as well.
Yeah, I did all right, actually. Pretty good, which is not bad. 120 games, it's got 43 goals for a winger, it's good, quite good.
And some of those players that you mentioned, what was the atmosphere like in the dressing room? I imagine you were really close.
Oh, yeah, very close. Never any backbiting or anything, you know what you call arguing. We were all on each other's side. It was top class.
And it's interesting you mentioned, it would be interesting to imagine how, if you were a player today, you'd be, providing balls for the likes of Sam Vokes and Akin Fenmore as well.
Oh, yeah, that would be good. Yeah, they're a good team now, Wycombe. They look very good. I'm watching them on the television, and very good indeed.
It's strange to imagine, isn't it? Like, obviously, when you played, and the difference between, the side and where they are now.
Oh, well, they're pros now, aren't they? We were only part-timers, amateurs, as so-called. And we only train twice a week, It's different altogether. When you can train every day, like, they can, every day they need to. I know when I was I did my national service, and in the RAF, you played for the command team, and you trained every day for a couple of weeks, and you soon get yourself fit and be more like a professional.
Because how did you find, obviously, with the travel as well, with having a proper sort of a full-time job, if you like, and obviously training and playing as well?
Oh, that was okay. Well, on Farsi, I've lived at Bourne End area, Flackwell for all my life, which is not far to Wycombe, so it wasn't far to come training, to go training.
And obviously some of the many, as you say, some of the many players that you played with and other players that you played against as well, that must bring back some great memories for you as well. Yes,
they were tough old boys, some of them, but they were always in the bar afterwards, having a drink and friends together. It was jolly good times then.
Does it feel like a long time ago, or does it feel like not that long ago?
A long time ago. Yeah, it does.
Because I guess even as well, playing at Lokes Park, obviously a different ground, but the slope as well. How did you cope with that?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was at work, I reckon I had one leg shorter than the other because I played at Wycombe. That's the way I could play there. But you could use the slope to your advantage, that was worth playing on. And a lot of other teams used to play down the bottom and the ball used to run away, but we'd use the slope and get quite a few goals that way.
No, definitely. It must have been quite strange for other teams to play against as well.
Yes, it was. They used to moan about it, but we loved it.
And you mentioned the fans. Had some really big crowds in those days. Really
big crowd, yeah. As I say, when you went away, we were all outmanoeuvred them. We're a much bigger crowd than what they did. It was really good.
And were many of your teammates also local as well?
Yeah, most of them were, really, when you work it out. They were all local lads. Most of them. You get one or two that came a distance. And we had one or two that came from the north who were in the RAF. Not Freddie Lawson, he was local, but Frank Smith and Ronnie Fry. There was a lad called Ronnie Fry played when I did. He was a really good player. They came from up the north, but generally they were all local boys, which is even better.
And obviously there was the league success, but also did really well in cup competitions as well. They must have been great to be a part of.
Yeah, I didn't get in the amateur cup team's final, but I watched it. If it was nowadays, I might have got in the squad. I don't know, but could have been on the pitch. But it was a great feeling. We did very well to get there, Wycombe.
Because Bishop Auckland were always a bit of a bogey team anyway.
They were indeed. I can remember as a boy watching them at Brentford when Jock McCullum and his team played, Peter Birdseye. That was a good semi-final.
But what was that like to be in and around the squad during that time with those players on such a famous occasion?
It was good, yeah. Really good atmosphere everywhere. Everybody was buoyed up to win the cup, and it could have happened, with a bit of luck. But that's the way it goes.
So tell us what happened after your time at the club.
I went to Hayes for a little while. I didn't last there long. I didn't like it, and then I ended up at Maidenhead United with one or two boys that I knew. Jimmy Price was the manager. He asked me to go over, and that's where I played for a few years. And then I played with Jimmy Truitt at Prince's Risborough, and ended up at Flackwell when I was in my 30s. So I had a good career. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Fantastic to have those memories and just to kind of reflect, really, as you say, on your time at the club.
Yeah, I did, yeah. One of the last games I played was actually for Wycombe, believe it or not. when they were in the FA Cup with Brian Lee and Johnny Reardon, they had to play Middlesbrough. And our team, Flag Relief, we stepped in for them in a Berks and Berks Cup game. So I did eventually finish at 30 odd in the Wycombe team, one game. We lost.
And it's really interesting chatting to former players. Obviously, the club feels really special. Are you able to say, exactly what you think is so special about it?
It's just a family club, isn't it? It's a local club, good support. Everybody in this area loves Wycombe, and rightly so. But I'm really pleased I went there and played.
It really feels that every kind of 10 years something really special happens, whether it's a good cup run or a promotion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they've had some good cup runs, haven't they? Since over the years, really good. Semi-final, the FA Cup, you never believe it. It was great.
No, that's fantastic. And what's your kind of overall memory or feeling, if you like, of your time at the club?
No, I enjoyed it ever so much, I didn't really want to leave at the time, I would never have left, but there you go. It doesn't last forever, does it? I think your career and that, you just got to get on with it.
No, absolutely. And it must bring a great amount of enjoyment to watch the side, as you say, today and see how well they're doing.
Yeah, always follow them, see the results, see how they get on.
And do you feel a real kind of part of the foundations, if you like, of where the club are now?
Yeah, I do, yeah. You look back and people still remember you when you see some people,
It's really nice to think that people, if you see someone like Mick about, who's, obviously played for the club so long, but in such a key part of their history as well. As you say, people always remember the 57, well, not necessarily remember, but have heard of it and know Bishop Auckland are a bogey team.
Yes, complutely. And it must be really nice that actually, if you were a member of the side, say, back in the 50s, 60s, and that actually you're almost still getting paid, as it were, from that today. That you turn up at Adams Park, and I don't mean being paid actually financially, but just paid sort of like almost emotionally. People are still then going to be saying, "Oh, hello," and know who you are, and that must be absolutely lovely.
And very strange as well. You can't imagine, obviously, to be replicated then, but in sort of 50 years' time, people going, "Do you remember when they played in 2022?"
But it will happen,
yeah,
won't
of course,
it?
Yeah.
And also, I don't expect it happens in many other walks of life, such as for you and I. If we were to walk back into Wycombe Sound in 50 years' time, they're not going to say, "Hey, it's Bob and Colin.
Exactly.
They were on the Wycombe Wanderers Show back in 2022." Whereas actually, if you're a footballer and you do well at a club, you'll always be remembered there, and you'll always be very, very warmly welcomed back. In a way that we've talked recently about John Gorman. I spoke about him to Danny Sender. And just, when he came back to Adams Park recently, absolutely lovely, got a, lovely reception.
And I'm sure as well there are other workplaces where it happens, but you imagine in a sort of dressing room situation, what you've been through with all those players is to have that memory, and then years down the line to go, "Oh yeah, do you remember when we..."
I think the difference with football is that people have longer memories and people also look at the history. So if you are a fan now or a recent fan, you then start researching the history of Wycombe Wanderers, so you know these names. Whereas actually in another workplace, you probably don't do that, and there probably isn't history to research if you at the Loudwater branch of Tesco's or something. Other supermarkets are available in the Wycombe area.
Of course. Big thank you to JDT and Alan Hutchinson at the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. More next week.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Bing bong. Calling the people of High Wycombe. It's David Stockdale, number 13, here from Wycombe Wanderers. Not sure what to do this Saturday? Get yourself down to Adams Park. We continue our League One campaign. Bring your chanting A game, help us get all 3 points. Tickets are now available at tickets.wwfc.com. See you there.
Welcome back to what we call the final part of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, because literally there's nothing more after it in terms of...
We used to call it extra time.
Yes.
But then we realised that we couldn't have penalties.
No, and it was too nail-biting as well if we could.
Yes, that's true, yes.
Still to come.
Nervous. Talking of which, it is the anniversary today of our victory. Not that it went to penalties or anything like that at all. Of our victory against Wolves in the FA Cup.
21 years
21 years.
On
so,
the 27th
so many of
January.
you were there at Adams Park clearing the snow from the pitch just to make sure that the game could go ahead. And how worth it was it?
And that very iconic Andy Rammell jumping in the snow afterwards. To
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you can see that now in your mind's eye, can't you?
No, definitely. And really nice, as you say, that so many people went to help out.
Oh yeah.
Bring a shovel.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not something you hear very much these days. Going down Donald's Park. Why are you taking a shovel? They said.
Yes, bring a shovel. You can get in for slightly less money than if you didn't have a shovel.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No snow at the moment, fortunately, touch wood.
No.
But some interesting player news.
Indeed, yes. No snow definitely for Ali Al-Hamadi, who has earned a call-up to the Iraqi national squad. They play against Iran today. In fact, they possibly have already played, and I will have a look whilst we hear from Gareth Ainsworth in a moment to see if we do have a result from that game. They also then play Lebanon on the 1st of February. Sully Kaikai has come back from the African Cup of Nations, because, of course, Sierra Leone went out in the... I'm just being told it was, oh dear, poor Ali Al-Hamadi. So Iran beat Iraq in the oil derby 1-0. I'm sure it's not really called that, is it?
No, shouldn't think so.
It's probably one of those ones they don't actually consider it a derby each other.
No, exactly, because of the border.
We also must talk about Wycombe Wanderers women, who did well, to be fair, on Sunday, even though they lost. You might remember before Christmas that they faced Abingdon United in a cup game, and they lost 8-1. Well, they faced the same opposition again on Sunday, this time only going down 3-0, which was definitely an improvement. They will face Moneyfields away on Sunday at 2 p.m. Another side who are doing well. Moneyfield's currently second in the division, so that's not going to be an easy game. But after that, then I do believe that they've got most of the difficult games out the way, so we can look forward to winning ways again for Wycombe Wanderers women.
Also, in the notice board part of the show, there's a quiz to mention.
There is indeed, yes, with the funds being raised going for Wycombe Wanderers women as well. And there are still places available for the quiz. To register for that, go to the website, which is foreverblues.com, and the 4 is the number 4, not 4, if you see what I mean. foreverblues.com.
Fantastic. That concludes the notice board section of the show.
I think it does, yes.
Absolutely. Now, though, we're going to hear a very... I'm praising it because I've heard it already and it's fantastic. Brilliant chat with Gareth Ainsworth, especially if you went to Morecambe. One man went to Morecambe, then he's got a very special message for you. This is the Wycombe Wanderers manager, Gareth Ainsworth, speaking to our Bob earlier on today.
After the Morecambe game, you said to Phil Catchpole that you've got some picking up to do of the players, which I thought was a really, really good thing to actually hear, because it means that actually your squad now doesn't expect and isn't happy just to stay in League One, but actually they've got aspirations to get to the Championship, and they go into games such as Morecambe away expecting actually to win.
Yeah, we never expect to win, but we every game now think we have a chance, and what we've done, up to that point, I think it was 10 without a loss. Sorry, 1 loss in 10, wasn't it? It was Ipswich, and then right back into the start of December before we had another loss. So the boys have set their standards, and when they don't reach those standards, they're down, and they then look to me to give them some guidance of why they didn't reach the standards. Who was it? Is it inside? Is it outside? Is it tactical? Is it? And really, my job is to embrace all of that, and first of all, look at myself, see if we could do anything better on the tactical side or technical side, and then start on the personal side, and it's a real in-depth sort of study and discussion about how we could have been better. It happens sometimes in football. I just watched Claudio Ranieri's interview when he left the training ground, when he was sacked on, was it Tuesday or Monday, and one of his words is football, and it is football. You're not going to win every game. There's 5 games that you'll smash teams. There's 5 games that you'll get beat easily, and then there's 36 games where it can go either way.
Can we have a quick word about Adebayo Akinfenwa leading the line? He won't thank me for saying this, but he's going to be 40 in a few months' time, and he played all 90 minutes on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, what we can say about Adebayo has not been said already. This club wouldn't be where it was without Bayo, and we have to pay homage to that guy. He's just done so well for this football club. People don't see what he brings away from the pitch, and he gets the days off now and then because he's 39, and when the others get to 39 and they're still playing, they can have days off as well. But when he's in, he galvanises the troops. He sees what I'm trying to do. He sees what gets success here, and he is passionate about us doing the right things. And yeah, he's just a phenomenal character. You know, I think football will miss Akinfenwa when he finishes. Never mind me and Wycombe Wanderers. But no, at the moment, he's really delivering, and that goal in the first minute was just a fantastic header. And you know, he was doing that when he was 26, never mind 39. So, no, real pleasure to keep working with him, and like I say, a real leader at this place.
Talking of goals, Jack Grimmer, are you planning on starting him up front anytime soon?
We've scored plenty of goals, so I don't need a forward. But I think we're having one of those seasons where everyone's pitching in with the goals. The person I feel sorry for is Jason McCarthy, because he was out of the team for no fault of his own. The COVID obviously hit Jason, and he missed a couple of games. Jack Grimmer, we put in as right wing back. We know he can do that job, but Jason was flying. Jack goes and scores 2 goals in 3 games. I mean, Jason's smiling, and but I'm sure deep down he's thinking, "Oh my God, what do I have to do now?" But Jack Grimmer has been another real good servant to this football club, you know, and it's only been 3 years, but he's been absolutely passionate from day one, gives everything, and those goals, you know, he's finding that touch now, which is brilliant for him, and you know, wherever they come from, great, but you know, you sort of right-sided centre-half come makeshift wing-back, scoring one with his left and then one with his right. I mean, two brilliant poacher's goals he's got there, and if there's any more coming, Jack, then they'll be very welcome, but I've got 2 brilliant players there who can both fill in that role, and tough decisions for me, but yeah, Jack's playing really well at the moment.
After the Morecambe game, Morecambe released a statement condemning a chant that was heard at the Morecambe game from their fans. It's also rather depressingly a chant that now seems to be becoming quite popular on the terraces and was heard at the Wycombe game against Oxford. I would say mainly from the away end, but definitely occasionally it came from the home end. You yourself have been on the end of that chant as well, which is pretty offensive, really. Let's say that. How do you feel, and how do the players feel as well when they hear that sort of thing going on the terraces?
The players now have got to a stage where they don't let it anger them now. They just are, probably like me, astounded that people are still behaving like this, but rising above it. I think that's really important, what we've got to do, but also it definitely needs addressing. You wouldn't say this to somebody in the street, so why when you're in a crowd mentality do you feel that you need to sing it or say it in a group? It's just you know, it's just ignorance for me, and not just the chant that's popular at the moment, but all chants, all derogatory or offensive comments is something that I'm desperate to get out of football. You know, I really am, and you know, we have to make sure that the right action is taken against these people, whether it's our fans, away fans, or anyone who comes into these football grounds. Because some of them, believe me, I don't think support either team. They're just coming to cause mayhem. So it is sad, and it's something that needs addressing by the proper authorities. What we want to do is keep reporting it and doing the right thing on our side, and hopefully the authorities above us will do the right thing and know that there's no place for that in football.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I know that there'll be some fans listening who'll be saying, you know, that it's the snowflake generation and all of that, but it is very unpleasant, and I think exactly as you say, actually, it's not something that you'd say to anything in the street. So if you're on the terrace, if you're thinking that you're supporting your team by singing that, you really aren't.
Yeah, and this snowflake generation, it's just something to hide behind it, you know, saying people are too fragile now. No chance, you know. We'll take stick, we'll take it in the right way, and yet, you know, we're tough lads, but there's just no room for that sort of stuff now. I've got young children like many people have, and you don't want them growing up into a world like that.
On the flip side, let's talk about the 328 fans who made the very, very long trip to Morecambe, which was very impressive.
Yeah, I just want to say to the fans, thank you so much, because, like I say, it builds resilience together. And when I do go over at the end and we get the reciprocal applause for each other, believe me, I'm an emotional guy, and there is a feeling inside me that I wish I could give them all they want, and I am humbled by the support I get and the team gets. And so you know, when I look into those faces, don't think that I'm just looking at them as numbers. I look at them as individuals and thanking them so much for being such a fantastic Wycombe Wanderers fan. That's the kind of guy I am, and that's how I want to live my life. And I'll never consider them just as a crowd. They're all individual, fantastic Wycombe fans who played a part in this journey together, and really, really proud to have them. And so thank you, every one of them. Sorry it wasn't a great trip home. Hopefully we can have a shorter trip home on Saturday with a different result.
And speaking as not only a member of the media, but also as a fan, it means so much, actually, at the end. Whatever has happened on the pitch, when you and the players come over, that does make the trip, even if it's all the way up to Morecambe, if it's all the way up to Middlesbrough, Hartlepool, that does actually make the trip for us, I think.
Thank you so much. Listen, I understand the ones who storm out with a minute to go. I understand the ones who aren't happy with me, but I know it means the world, and it's a thank you. We've given everything. I've given everything on that touchline. I never mean to lose a game. I never go out there thinking I'm going to mess this up today. I go out going, I want to give everything today, and I'm hoping that's seen by the fans, because it's certainly seen by me. The fans get behind us, and you know, like I said, some of those scenes when Akinfenwa was scored after 1 minute, seeing them all jumping around, that's what football is. That's what you're in it for, and I'm loving that. Like I say, Saturday MK Dons, I know that's a sweet one for them, and I really want to give them a result. I think David Wheeler, last-minute winner, was the last time down at Adams Park, and anything like that would be very welcome for me. But it will be a tough game, but really looking forward to it.
And we've played them twice already this season, and really in both games, I would argue we were unlucky. In the Pizza Cup, the Papa John's Trophy, we were unlucky, and obviously in the league game with Anthony Stewart getting sent off.
Yeah, the league game's the one that, you know, sits uncomfortable with us, because we got the red card rescinded after that, but we had to play 70 minutes with 10 men, and a penalty was the difference. But it's a different day, a different game, and we're very close in the league, and I'll be making the boys well aware of the season now, where we are, where we sit, how quickly it goes, and how important these points are. So I think we can give MK Dons more than the game at Adams Park. Really looking forward to it. Win, lose or draw, I'll be clapping those fans, because they're a great bunch. But let's hope we can have the former.
You had a practice game against Ipswich in the week. Just a word about that.
Yeah, brilliant. Darryl Horgan, David Wheeler, Chris Farino, Jason McCarthy, all getting minutes, you know, who've been first teamers for me. Goalkeepers again getting experience, and then some of these young boys who perhaps need to go out on loan now and continue their development for us. No way are they out of the building. They're going on loan to play first team football and get minutes. There was plenty of scouts looking at them, and I think we've secured a couple of loans as well, which is brilliant for us. So yeah, very impressed with the second half performance. I thought we stepped on really well. I thought some of the experienced boys really came to, David and Darryl Hogan especially, and Jason, you know, and pushing those boys forward and getting the press right in the second half, something that we really do well here. And it was nice to step back and not have to coach, not have to manage, and hear what these experienced boys were saying in the dressing rooms after Darryl actually was really, you know, really good after the game in the dressing room, telling the boys exactly about football, about you know, his experiences and how you make every moment count. It was great, you know, a real good experience for some of these development players, and you know, looking forward to the next games. But the first team games are going to come thick and fast now, so I think they're few and far between now for development games. That's why we're going to try and get some of these boys out on loan, get them playing, because Chris Farino, Anis Mehmeti, Ollie Pendlebury, you know, they're just names that have really made an impact in the first team already from that development squad. And Sam Grace has done a great job. I'm sure there's more to come, but we'll see what happens for the rest of the year now.
It does sound really, positive.
Very, very positive. And as I said at the beginning of the interview, I thought really positive that actually, you know, he's talking about having to pick the boys up from a defeat against Morecambe. You know, just a few seasons ago, we would have been delighted really with anything in League One. And the fact that now we're actually going into these games expecting, or, you know, Gareth would correct me about that, you know, wanting to win those games and believing that we can, that's the difference.
So what would be your assessment, just quickly, of where the team are currently? Because I know, you know, the manager and any players that you speak to, well, they don't look too far ahead, but I think we can. So we've got, obviously, MK Dons, as you kind of pointed out, the points difference would be really useful with a win on Saturday.
It really would. I mean, I think, it is. It's a huge game on Saturday. And if we win, then yes, we can begin, I think, to look to sort of towards the end of the season. I know, the whole sort of like, it's a marathon, not a sprint or whatever, but, in all marathons, at some point, there's a small group that breaks away from the rest of the pack. And we want to be in that small group.
I was concerned you were going to say somebody hits the wall.
No, definitely. Well, but that's the opposite thing, isn't it? And again, hopefully we've overcome our normal hitting the wall, which always used to be around Christmas, where actually, we'd all look forward to the Christmas fixtures and then probably have 0 points from about 4 games. That didn't happen this Christmas time.
And then we've got a bit of a gap, of course.
Indeed, yes. So after MK Dons, then it's the FA Cup 4th round, isn't it? Where we were meant to be playing another one of the Cambridge games that has then been rescheduled. So there is no game next Saturday. So unfortunately.
Tuesday the 8th at home to Shrewsbury, then a trip to Lincoln, then at home again to Cheltenham, then at home again to
Wigan. That's again, looking quite big with all the Wigan's games in hand. Obviously, then that's a way that we can slightly close the gap on them. With regards to that game against Shrewsbury, they're doing slightly better than they were, but they're still only 4 points above the relegation zone. But again, the trouble with this time of the season, and that's I think what we found on Saturday against Morecambe, is that of course the teams down the bottom do actually start to really try hard, and in some way they're probably slightly trickier to play than maybe some of those who are still in the middle that probably feel that actually the playoffs are slightly too far ahead of them. One of those would be Lincoln, but yeah, it's still we're in the right place, I think.
That's a very good assessment. Join us next week for more of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, as hopefully we reflect on a win at home to MK Dons.
Cheerio, I follow. We'll miss you.